The good news is that Trump's approval rating is tanking. As of yesterday, April 27th, we have the data to prove it. Hi everybody, I'm Allie 202 and I'm starting a new news series where I tell you the good news and then the bad news and then what you can do about it. My goal with this series is to keep you informed while also making you feel like you have some hope still and you have something you can do that makes you productive. Because the last thing that the news needs to do right now is freak you out so bad that you freeze and then we all freeze and then Trump just gets what he wants. Today's three stories are going to be Trump's poor approval rating, the Democrats' poor approval rating, and how you can help support the Democrats who are actually working to serve as an opposition party and get in the way of Trump right now. Today's good news is about the polling data that we just got, that we get pretty much every time a president completes their first 100 days in office. The big headline that you might be seeing and hearing everywhere is that Trump has the lowest 100-day approval rating of any president for the last 80 years of polling. We're going to get into more of the specifics though, because this poll gave us new critical data, like that Trump has seen a decline of 10 points of approval among white people without a college degree, who we know are a key part of his political coalition, or how 67% of people think Trump is doing a bad job handling the recent turmoil in the stock market, and 64% of people think he's doing a bad job handling tariffs. Another 64% of people think he is going too far in trying to expand the powers of the presidency. In other words, a decent number of Americans are going, hey, we're getting into kind of dictator vibes and I'm not loving it. While the highest disapproval rating for a single issue we saw in this poll was Trump's reduction of federal funding for medical research, which 77% of Americans said they disapproved of, maybe the most interesting shift is that Trump won the election pretty much based on the idea that he would do a better job handling the economy than Harris. Obviously, saying any president won because of a single issue is an oversimplification, but we all understand that that had a really big impact on his win. So it's really notable that as of yesterday, his economic approval rating was 39% and the disapproval rating was 61%. Americans felt like he was going to do a good job getting money back in our pockets, and people are changing their minds about that. More than 7 in 10 people, 72%, said they think that Trump's policies are probably going to lead to a short-term recession, right? Like, we're not talking like, oh, he's like doing okay on the economy, but like not my favorite. People are like, no, this is gonna like crash the economy. As I sort of said at the beginning of the video, it's not good for Trump to crash the economy, but if he does it, it's really good for people to recognize that. We need Americans to be clocking that something is going wrong if we are going to get in the way and intercept a complete descent into fascism. So now, speaking of blocking and getting in the way, we have to talk about today's bad news story, which is that the Democrats, our current opposition party, are also flopping in the polls. This same polling data that was released by the Washington Post and ABC says that nearly 7 in 10 Americans think that the Democratic Party is out of touch. And you all know me, I certainly agree with that. Interestingly, people feel less like the Republican Party or Trump is out of touch, right? It is specifically the Democrats that are up against this negative sentiment right now. Although the numbers are like really bad for everyone. But again, they're just specifically bad for Democrats. Just like the data about Trump, this data about Democrats shouldn't necessarily come as a surprise. Even within the Democratic Party, we've seen that they are acknowledging that they have this public-facing issue. And we know that internally there's a lot of questions about how they can fix their vibes. So for today's productivity section, the what can you do about it, I want to point you to a couple of Democratic politicians that are actually serving as a useful opposition. Because if we, the Democratic constituents, can throw our public support at a few politicians that are going in the right direction, the rest of Democrats who are currently struggling to figure out what exactly their constituents want them to do right now, right? Like, they're kind of sitting here going, okay, people want me to act, I'm not sure what it is. If we go, that one, that guy, like, please be like him, we're nudging our elected officials in the right direction. So today's highlight is going to be Senator Chris Van Hollen. He gave a really good example recently of what Democrats can be doing about immigration, specifically the fact that the Trump administration is illegally deporting certain people, and they have admitted, for example, to deporting Kilmar Abrego Garcia on an administrative error to El Salvador, where he's now in a prison torture camp. While Democrats were trying to figure out how to properly bring public attention to Garcia's case, Senator Van Hollen flew to El Salvador himself, started making a ton of videos with everyone that he interacted with, was filming himself in the airport, landing in El Salvador, trying to get into CCOT, the prison, right, and failing to because he was stopped by guards. He was essentially vlogging the process for us, got so many eyes on it that he managed to put enough political pressure on the government of El Salvador that he landed a meeting with Kilmar himself. People did not really expect that he would manage to do that, but he did, and he served as the perfect example in doing so of what Democratic politicians can be doing that is effective right now. So we are going to throw our support at him, first of all, because that was just like really awesome of him to do, but second of all, because we need to encourage other Democrats to act similarly. And after Chris Van Hollen's trip, other Democratic congresspeople like Maxwell did indeed themselves fly to El Salvador to continue to bring light to Kilmar's case. So if you need any proof that throwing your support at senators like this is productive, we threw our support at Senator Van Hollen and immediately other congresspeople followed suit. Clearly, this public rallying and support meant something. I personally recommend following Senator Van Hollen on Instagram, and I will tag him in the description below. All right, y'all, that's going to be the end of today's episode. A reminder to turn your post notifications on if you're following me. Thank you for almost 200,000 subscribers. This is awesome. I know that I usually have only been posting YouTube shorts in the past, but that is going to be changing. And so because I won't just be automatically coming up on your shorts feed, when I'm posting these long videos, you're going to want to turn that notification bell on so that you make sure that you are alerted by the app when videos like this come out. I really appreciate your support. Let me know if you like this format of video, if there's any specific issues you'd like me to cover, if there's any tweaks you'd like me to make to the format. But otherwise, I just really appreciate all of your support, and I hope that I can help you feel like you are involved in a way that does not just completely derail your nervous system, so that you can be a productive, informed member of society right now while we all try to keep America from turning into a dictatorship. I love you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye for now.